Good morning, distinguished veterans, members of the diplomatic community, parliamentarians, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Mills, and I'm the Director of Canada Rememberance Program for Veterans Affairs Canada here in Ottawa. It's my honor to be your Master of Ceremonies today on the occasion of Merchant Navy Veterans Day. Distingués anciens combattants et vétérans, membres de corps diplomatiques, parlementaires, invités spéciaux, mesdames et messieurs, je m'appelle Peter Mills, je suis directeur du programme Le Canada se souvient, Anciens combattants Canada ici à Ottawa. J'ai l'honneur de jouer le rôle de votre maître de cérémonie à l'occasion de la journée des anciens combattants de la marine marchande. Canadians are justifiably proud of the critical role our merchant navy played both overseas and closer to home during times of war. We're gathered here today to honor the service and sacrifice of Canada's merchant mariners. Le Canada a raison d'être fier du rôle clé joué par notre marine marchande en temps de guerre, que ce soit outre-mer ou plus près de chez nous. Nous sommes rassemblés ici pour rendre hommage au service et au sacrifice des marins marchands du Canada. Please rise for the playing of our national anthem. Veuillez vous lever pour l'interprétation de l'hymne national. Thank you. Please be seated. I would now call upon the Honourable Gordon O'Connor, Minister of State and Government Whip, representing the Honourable Jean-Pierre Blackburn, Minister of Veterans Affairs and Minister of State Agriculture, to deliver remarks. J'inviterai maintenant l'Honorable Gordon O'Connor, Ministre d'État et Whip en chef de gouvernement, représentant l'Honorable Jean-Pierre Blackburn, Ministre des Anciens Combattants et Ministre de l'État d'Agriculture, à venir prendre la parole.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. J'ai le plaisir et l'honneur d'être ici aujourd'hui au nom de l'honorable Jean-Pierre Blackburn, ministre des Anciens Combattants et ministre d'État pour l'Agriculture. Le ministre regrette de ne pouvoir être avec nous. He's asked that I share my thoughts with you on this occasion where we commemorate the achievements and sacrifices of our merchant Navy veterans. Wars have seen men and women deployed on land, air, and sea. It was the oceanic battlefield that saw many brave Canadians in its turbulent wake during the Second World War, and Canada's merchant Navy was vital to the Allied victory on this front. Les marins marchands canadiens ont joué un rôle très important dans la victoire de la Seconde Guerre mondiale. Ils ont transporté jusqu'en Europe et dans le monde entier l'équipement, le carburant, les biens et les soldats qui ont permis aux Alliés d'avancer. Canadians have consistently demonstrated their courage in the face of danger throughout history. It is essential that we pause to remember their sacrifice, whether they served at home or on foreign seas and lands. Nous soulignons aujourd'hui la journée des anciens combattants de la marine marchande au Canada en hommage au courage et au sacrifice des marins marchands du Canada. Ces hommes et ces femmes méritent notre reconnaissance et notre respect éternel. N'oublions jamais. One of my grandfathers was a member of the Merchant Marine, and he told me many hair-raising stories about the convoys under attack by submarines. Ships carrying explosives just disintegrating and oil tankers on fire, with crews having no choice but to jump in the flames that were on the surface of the water. Their sacrifice and contribution to the war effort was enormous, lest we forget. Au nom de Premier Ministre Harper et du gouvernement du Canada, je tiens à vous remercier de vos contributions à la conclusion victorieuse de la Seconde Guerre mondiale. Merci, thank you.
Thank you, Minister O'Connor. Merci, Monsieur le Ministre. The commemorative aspect of our ceremony will now begin. Prayers will be offered by Padre Alain Monpat. Le volet commémoratif de notre cérémonie commence maintenant. L'aumônier Alain Monpat dira la prière.
Let us pause for a moment. Lord Almighty, we are gathered here at our National War Memorial in Ottawa on this very special day and historical day to remember our fallen comrades of the Merchant Navy who paid the ultimate price of life and limb for peace on earth. Lord of the land, Master of the seas, you know that their sacrifices and contributions were without question one of Canada's most important contribution to the success of the Allied cause. We are still to this day blessed by the presence of many of these brave seafarers in our communities across the country. They still vividly remember accompanying the Canadian and Allied naval forces on the treacherous seas of the North and the South Seas. Many of them still remember the stormy nights, the rainy and cold icy days of the North Atlantic, and also the infernos of the South Seas. The elements were often as vicious as the foe. They also remember, Lord, when they were hit, it was hell. They then cried out to you, God, in their trouble. You rescued them from their distress. You made the storm still. You hushed the roaring of the waves. They rejoiced with the calm. You brought them to the harbor for which they longed. That harbor, in some cases, would be another merchant ship that had survived the attack, or one of our own warships, or an Allied ship nearby. But for too many of our fine and courageous sailors of the Merchant Navy, the final harbor was the cold North Atlantic Sea, or the shark-infested water of the South Seas. You, Almighty One, are the Lord of the land and the Master of the seas. You have welcomed them into your kingdom, the final harbor for many, too many of them. Grant them your eternal peace. Grant also peace to all those that have survived. May their nightmares that still haunt them to this day be appeased by your soothing and comforting love. May your peace be with them. In their minds, their souls, and their bodies. Let us also pray for the families and loved ones of all those wonderful people of the Merchant Navy that have suffered the loss of a brother, a son, a loving father during that day, these days. Seigneur, en ce jour consacré à la marine marchande et ses vaillants équipages, nous te prions d'exaucer nos prières. Accueille auprès de toi tous ceux qui sont morts au service de la paix. La détermination de ces hommes et de ces femmes, braves et courageux, nous a permis de maintenir une ligne de ravitaillement essentielle pour assurer le succès dans notre effort de guerre. Cette ligne de ravitaillement est devenue une ligne de vie et d'espoir pour une multitude. Tu es le Seigneur de la vie. Accorde-leur la vie éternelle et accorde ta paix à tous les membres de leur famille. Veille sur les survivants qui sont encore parmi nous aujourd'hui. Comble tes bénédictions et qu'ils deviennent pour les générations à venir un exemple de courage et de dévouement. Nous nous souviendrons d'eux.
The act of remembrance will be recited in English by Mr. Les Kemp, followed by the commitment to remember by Ms. Alison Hamer on behalf of the Youth of Canada.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
They were young as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge amid the winds of time to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them. We will remember them.
Le premier maître de deuxième classe, Richard, fera la lecture de l'acte de souvenir en français. Monsieur Harry Radgerson récitera ensuite la promesse de ne pas oublier au nom de tous les jeunes de Canada. The act of remembrance will be recited in French by Chief Petty Officer Second Class Richard, followed by the commitment to remember by Mr. Harry Radgerson on behalf of the Youth of Canada.
Ils ne vieilliront pas comme ceux qui leur ont survécu. Ils ne comprendront jamais l'outrage ni le poids des années. Quand viendra l'heure du crépuscule et celui de l'or, nous nous souviendrons d'eux.
Ils étaient jeunes, jeunes comme nous. Ils ont servi, nous souviendrons d'eux. Nous nous souviendrons d'eux.
The ship's bell is tolled in remembrance of merchant navy veterans, ships, and crew lost at sea. The tolling of the bell will be followed by a last post, 2 minutes of silence, the rouse, and the lament. Le son de la cloche se fait en souvenir des navires et des membres de l'équipage de la marine marchande qui ont été perdus en mer. Le son de la cloche sera suivi par la dernière sonnerie, 2 minutes de silence, le réveil et l'élégie. Between 1939 and 1945, more than 1,700 Merchant Navy personnel lost their lives due to enemy action. This figure includes Canadian seamen who were lost while serving aboard 278 Canadian and Allied ships. Entre 1939 et 1945, plus de 1,700 membres de la marine marchande perdirent la vie aux mains de l'ennemi. Il s'agit de matelots canadiens qui servaient à bord de 278 navires canadiens et alliés. More than 70 Canadian Merchant Navy ships were sunk, most in the Battle of the Atlantic. Plus de 70 navires marchands canadiens furent coulés, la majorité pendant la bataille de l'Atlantique. Please rise as the bell is tolled. Veuillez, s'il vous plaît, vous lever pour le son de la cloche. 1940, 7 ships lost. 1940, 7 navires perdus. 1941, 13 ships lost. 1941, 13 navires perdus. 1942, 36 ships lost. 1942, 36 navires perdus. 1943, 2 ships lost. 1943, 2 navires perdus. 1944, 8 ships lost. 1944, 8 navires perdus.